Hey guys, welcome back. Part number 3. So, first two parts we worked on the cockpit and the internals. This week we're going to work on the engine. So, let's go ahead and get started. Hey, Richie here from RW Hobbies. Welcome back to part number 3 of my 24 scale Hawker Hurricane build. So, we're going to work on the engine. So, before we start that, recap parts 1 and 2. We did this little guy. We did the cockpit tub, which is looking really cool. And now ready to put the engine on the front here. So, to know it is, we've got a big clear part that goes there, which we'll probably leave off or paint. So you guys are going to see some of the engine, but maybe not all of it. So we really need to take some care here, do some dry fitting to figure out what you're going to see and what you're not going to see. So again, it's quite a big beast. The wingspan on this thing's huge, but again, 24 scale. And there we go. So anyway, engine. So what 1 to 4 we've done, cross those off. Now we're in part 5 again, engine. So you've got 3 parts of the engine block, various parts silver, so these will be painted separately and added on later. Then moving through to 6, adding some detail to this, and 7, a little bit more detail. 8 is the framing and the bulkhead. And then further on, we basically put that into the fuselage with a cockpit, which I've already glued. So we're going to basically, today we're going to go through to, you know what? It's weird how you do, I just noticed something, it's weird how you do a stabilizers 9 and 10. It doesn't flow. So, why are you doing stabilizers so early when you don't need them until later on? That's strange. Okay. You think you go from the engine to putting the engine in. Oh well. Anyway, so we're going to start today again. Start number 5 and walk through to number 8. So, 3 pages. So I'm going to start, as always, cut the pieces off, get them all cleaned up, and then I'll be right back and we can talk about how we can get this thing put together. Alright, so making good progress with the engine, got all pretty much assembled. So the main block, there were some nasty seam lines, but I don't think you can see them at the ends here. And we do have a cover on the top, and the stuff that goes on, on the bottom and the top, there's a couple of parts that go on there, so you're not going to see the seams. So they did do quite a good job of kind of hiding some of these, but it was 1, 2, 3 pieces for the block, but that part right there went on, and that little part right here too, I added 2 because it's going to be the same color. So anything black, I pretty much put on the block together to paint as one, and we're going to paint the silver parts separately and then add them on. So 2 colors, black and silver, and the bulkhead here, which I've built up, is going to be the usual grey-green, same as the cockpit color, which we'll probably use guns 312. So the engine will kind of sits in there somewhat, if we get the right way around, and holding the frame, and you can see some of it. So you see the bottom part for the panel, but you're not going to see the top half. So that bit's done, this bit's done, this bit's painted black, and this will go on the bulkhead, so we'll paint that separately. And then all the separate parts I've done for silver. We need to get ready for paint, and we'll prime it black, and then we'll just paint it silver afterwards. So we've got the ends of the engines. I'm sorry, I'm not an expert, so I'm not sure exactly what parts these are, but we've got these guys that go on the end of the engine, each end of the engine, that's kind of hard to say. We've got the cylinder heads covered here, which again silver, and some various other little parts which are silver as well. So again, we'll paint them all separately and we'll just tack them on at the end. So next up, it will be painting. So I'm going to head and prime everything as always with my Mr. Surfacer 1500 black, and I think that'll be a really good color for the engine too. So the black will just remain as this color, and then we'll come back in on top of that and we'll paint the interior color, and then the silver for these guys. So, right, let me go to the spray booth, get spraying, and we'll be right back. Alright, got everything painted up, and we're ready to start some assembly. So, did add the panel on the outside here. Now, I hate clear parts, they just look crap. I just don't like it. So, glued that one in place and just painted the inside. This side I'll just leave off completely. I'm just not a big fan of clear parts to show stuff. It just never looks good to me. So, painted the inside again on this side, that usual interior color we're using. And so that's done. Painted the frame up too, and the engine black. Now, quite happy how the metallic parts turned out. So, painted them all pretty much in LP11, which is silver, because I don't want anything super shiny, because I mean, this is going to be a used aircraft, it's not going to be a showbird. So, painted all these parts in the silver, pretty much, and then the 2 cylinder head covers here, which I think they are, right? I did it in sparkling silver LP48, just a little bit of distinction, so you can see the difference in shines and colors and stuff. So that's how we did that. Now we're just going to throw everything together and build this guy up. So using my usual Tamiya cement, the thick stuff, usually a white top, I just use the extra thin brush because it's thinner. So I use that top, it actually fits perfectly on this. Now I use this like 90% of my builds now and about 10% extra thin. I use it almost everything because I love this glue. It's resin based and it won't affect your paintwork too much either. So we can go ahead and add this guy on. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the bottom. Bit there. And just make sure I get this guy lined up. Okay, so that guy's in. This one needs to be painted black. I'll hand paint this one. But that guy's done. Now the engine block. We want to put these guys on. I'll make sure I get this the right way around. And it looks like it goes this way around. And they go like this, I believe. Let's see, yeah, like that. Let's run a bit of glue down there. Okay, that side's on. And that side's on. Now on this end, we're going to put this guy, and it's going to go the hole into this gap, and then this kind of goes around the bottom here like this. So that's how it's going to fit. So we're going to add that bit on. Then on this side, this guy's going to go on. That's a pretty tough fit on this one. Okay, clicks on like that. And now we've got a bunch of little small parts too, but you know what? I'm just gonna let this set just for 10 minutes, just so it sticks, so it won't fall off, and then we'll come back and add the more detail in a couple of seconds. Well, 20 minutes or so. All right, so it's been about 5 minutes. Just let these guys dry a little bit. Now we're gonna add these parts on the side here, on these two holes. Okay, so they're on. There's a big hole and a little hole, so make sure you line those up correctly and push it in. So got those guys on. This guy goes on the side, facing backwards. Now I did use a sparkling silver on this one too, again just some visual appeal, different colours and stuff. Alright, so there, we're looking pretty good, most of the parts are on, and yeah, it's a nice level of detail, not crazy amount, but you're not going to see it, so I think it's fine for what it is. So we've got some of these wires to add on, which comes in like a rubber. I'm not sure how I feel about this, but the fact you're not really going to see it, I think it'll be fine. So I need to paint these up, and then there's this silver part goes on top, and there's a couple of other parts I forgot to paint up on the back as well. And then this block is done. But yeah, looking pretty good. And then what happens is it kind of sits in here somewhat, and it goes into the fuselage. So let me go ahead and do the last few bits, and then once it's together, we can start weathering this up a little bit. Alright, so put this guy together, and there we go. In the end, I painted the kind of wiring loom light gunmetal LP20, and put one side on, and the other side it's just the right paint to put on. Let me show you. It wasn't sticking good with super glue. It just wasn't all over the place. And you know what? I figured that other side, you're not going to see it. It's on the side where it's blanked. We're not going to see that side of the engine, the left side. So why am I going to spend time fooling around with this little thing, glue and all kinds of things, when you're not going to see it? So hey, don't worry about it. That side's in, which is the most important one. And we're looking good. All the little parts are on and stuff. Do like the contrast. Again, you're not going to see it, but like the shiny silver to the more matte LP11 looks good. You know, different contrasts there. So what we've got left to do now is basically weather this guy. So when it comes to weathering metallics, there's one way I do it, and that's black. I just love a black wash on anything silver. It just works for me. And we're going to dry brush it. So basically we're going to dry brush anything black, we're going to dry brush, and anything silver we're going to apply oil wash. So first of all, we're going to head and do the dry brushing. And normally I use, like, I love these, the Model Air metallics. They work so great, but this time I'm trying something a little different. I've got a Citadel base Iron Warriors. Now I just put this into a dropper bottle, so it's a little bit different with a agitator inside. So let me just put some paint in here. And see, this is that nice, like, dark iron color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a flat brush, put my paint on, and just rub it off. And then we're going to apply it to any black areas, and we'll start with this side so you're not going to see it. So this might be a little bit too harsh. Just rub it all over. And there we go. Alright, so we did the dry brushing, and see, knocked it back a little bit, and create some of that more detail. Now we're going to do a simple wash, black wash. So Abteilung, black. We don't need much paint at all, just see there's barely anything. And any kind of enamel thinners, so we're going to use the Abteilung thinners. And you can see you see how translucent it is. A very thin wash is all we need. And then again we'll just start with the other side. And there we go, simple as that. Just a very thin wash, just to pick out a few details there. And with the iron dry brushed on, it looks pretty cool. So I'm going to now let this dry for a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and put in the framing of the, and then ready for the bulkhead for the fuselage. Alright, so finished. The engine's in. The wash, I glued it all in, no problem at all. Did use my usual white top cement, Tamiya cement, just to glue it in. Bit that tab went in flush, and this bit sits flush with the front here. But really liking how it's looking. The dry brushing looks great. The wash took really well, and very pleased. And it's looking really cool. So I know we did have the instrument panel and the seat belts, but other than that, this is all out the box. And for like the price of this kit, I think it's a really good value, right? So that's how we're looking. Obviously, these sandwiches together. And again, there's the engine. And we're actually going to see quite a lot of this engine, surprisingly. So if I kind of offer up the other side and just loosely kind of place it, that gap is quite big, so you can see a lot of that engine in there. So obviously the other side's closed up, and these holes are where the exhausts go on. But when this side goes on, again, I leave the bottom, leave that bottom panel off too. You can see quite a lot in there, so I'm quite pleased with that one. So yeah, really happy how this one's turning out. It's a really enjoyable kit. Being 24 scale again, you know, you can add some detail and stuff if you want to, but you know, all this stuff in the middle here, you're not going to see that. This you are, and that you are. But yeah, looking really cool. So there we are. I wrap this one up. Again, delighted so far. Hopefully it sandwiches together okay. And once it's sandwiched together, then we can start working on the wings. And it is a big bird. What, like 50 centimeters wide? So I'm not even going to fit in the camera shot, but I zoom right out. And that's how big it's going to be massive once this goes on. But really loving this kit. Highly recommend it so far. Fingers crossed it sandwiches together and the rest of it's smooth sailing. But I guess we'll find out in the upcoming parts. So have a great week as always, and I'll see you next Friday. Goodbye.